This grandma's insane story of overcoming trauma will haunt you forever. In the small town of Crescent Valley, there was a whisper that carried on the wind. A chilling tale about old Margaret Thompson. She lived at the end of a twisting dirt road, in a decrepit house that seemed to sag under the weight of its own secrets. The window shutters banged against the walls, like the frantic heartbeat of a trapped animal. Folks said Margaret could talk to ghosts, the spirits of her past haunting her every step. On stormy nights you could hear strange sounds, deep echoes of her sorrow that filled the air and made you stop in your tracks. Margaret was once the life of the party, a vibrant woman. But tragedy had swept through her life like a dark cloud. They say she lost the love of her life in a car accident, right on the cusp of their retirement. It was a tale of terror. He had swerved to miss a deer, sending their car tumbling into the river. Scared whispers spoke of ghostly figures seen at the crash site, silhouettes appearing when the moon was full. Margaret had been there, standing helpless on the muddy bank, screaming his name into the void, and now a part of her was lost too. But what truly gripped the townsfolk were the rumors of her cursed belongings. Her basement was filled with trinkets and treasures from their travels, but locals claimed that the moment you touched one, shadows began to creep in your mind, tormenting you with unspeakable images. Strange occurrences followed. Pets disappeared, lovers quarreled, and friends turned against each other. It was as if the spirit of loss rose from those objects, intertwining with the living, making you question your own reality. This wasn't just a grandma's attic. It was a portal into her broken soul. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. It was just another night when a group of brave teenagers decided to test their fate, daring to venture into her domain. Laughter echoed as they neared the house, but trepidation bubbled beneath the surface. The air grew thick with anticipation, a chilling sense of something watching. They stood frozen, every hair on their necks prickling. Was it just the wind, or was it the ghost of Margaret's love, desperate to protect her from the living, ready to reveal the secrets of the past? Would they unlock a hidden door into the trauma, or would it be them who never left the house, echoing Margaret's pain? What awaited them was unknown, but one thing was certain: the boundary between life and death was about to thin. The house loomed before them, its shadow stretching across the yard like skeletal fingers. The teenagers hesitated, the weight of the legend pressing down harder than the air itself. They exchanged nervous glances, excitement mingling with dread. What if it was true? What if the stories weren't just tales spun by fearful townsfolk? Ryan stepped forward, a boldness cracking through his quivering facade. "I'll go in first," he declared, voice trembling slightly. The others stared, their expressions a mix of admiration and pure terror. "Dude, are you crazy?" Jess whispered, clutching her phone tightly as if it could ward off the darkness. "What if? Come on. What's the worst that could happen? Ghosts aren't real." He scoffed, but the unease in his eyes betrayed him. He turned towards the door, courage dwindling with each step. The door creaked open, releasing a gust of stale air, like a breath taken after decades of silence. Shadows danced on the walls, flickering from the dim light of their phone flashlights. They entered, hearts pounding in sync, the sound echoing back like a sinister chorus. "Okay, let us find those cursed objects," Mia said, attempting to lighten the mood, but her voice quivered. The basement seemed like the logical place. After all, it was where the rumors began. As they crept down the rickety wooden stairs, the sound of their footsteps mixed with creaking timber, creating an eerie soundtrack. Margaret's basement was dark, cluttered with musty boxes and old furniture draped in white sheets, looking like ghosts waiting to be unveiled. A chill swept in as they scanned the room, searching for any sign of those infamous trinkets. Then Jess spotted a small ornate box tucked away in the corner. "This must be it," she exclaimed, excitement flooding her voice. She rushed over and knelt beside it. The box was intricately carved, glimmering under their flashlights as if infused with a life of its own. Wait, Jess. Maybe we shouldn't touch it, warned Mia, dread filling her gut. What if it really is cursed? But Jess, already captivated, lifted the lid. A soft fluttering sound filled the air, and then silence. The glimmer turned to shadows swirling inside. Dark tendrils reaching out like eager hands ready to wrap around her. Close it, Ryan yelled, his voice pitched with panic. But it was too late. Jess blinked and her expression changed, her eyes eclipsing with fear. As if something had seeped into her soul. Suddenly, the lights flickered, the basement shaking violently. Boxes toppled, dust exploded into air, and whispers echoed in the darkness, low and haunting. Get out! Get out! They chanted, voices layered with pain and a frenzy. The group struggled to escape, tripping over one another in their dash for the stairs. But Jess stood rooted in place, mouth agape, eyes wide as an abyss, entranced by the shadows swirling from the box. I can see him, she breathed. He here, Jess, no. Ryan shouted, desperately grabbing her arm. As he pulled her back, she screamed, her voice spiraling up into the chaos, drowning in the darkness. The whispers intensified, overwhelming every sense, burying them in terror. Outside, the wind howled like a banshee, rattling the house to its bones. The line between dimensions felt like it was fading, blurring only to reveal something monstrous lurking behind it. As they finally emerged from the basement, stumbling into the moonlight, Jess felt the weight of those unseen eyes upon her, the chill of a memory awakening. The secrets of Margaret's past had whispered too close. What had they unleashed? And would anyone escape the spell that Margaret had cast in her haunted abode? The air outside was different, thick with apprehension and the lingering sensation of Jess's gaze upon them, now vacant and distant. Ryan's hands shook, a nervous energy pulsing through him as they huddled in a cluster, the outline of the house dark and foreboding behind them. Jess, he cried, panic heightening his voice. Come on. But she didn't respond. Instead, her eyes were as still as glass, reflecting only the silvery moonlight. Mia grabbed Ryan's arm, her fingers trembling. What do? We can't just leave her. I tried. She wouldn't move. Ryan's breath came out in heavy bursts. The whispers still echoed in their ears, chilling against the backdrop of the ominous house. Suddenly, Jess began to smile, a smile so wide it seemed unnatural, stretching across her face like a painted mask. She whispered, almost dreamlike, so lonely. The group recoiled, terror gripping them. Jess, snap out of it, Mia pleaded, shaking her friend's shoulders. But it was as if Jess were lost in another realm, the shadows tugging at her thoughts and blurring the lines of reality. Maybe it's a trick, Ryan suggested, glancing at Mia, who looked equally terrified. Maybe we can just ignore it. Are you kidding? She needs help. Mia shot back, desperation framing her voice. No, Jess suddenly shouted, her voice sharpening like a knife, tearing through the air. You don't understand. He wants to show me. We can't go. Go where, Jess? Please just come back with us. Ryan stepped forward again, but the moment he did, an overwhelming force shook the ground beneath their feet. The house trembled as if it were alive, awakening from a deep slumber. Without warning, Jess took a step backward, drawn toward the looming darkness of the house. The other three screamed her name, a choir of panic clashing against the sinister whispers that clawed at their sanity. Jess, they shouted in unison, their voices almost drowned out by the howling winds that clawed at them, as if the landscape itself was trying to pull them away from the house. Then, a ghastly silhouette appeared behind Jess, emerging from the depths of the shadows. It loomed large, wispy and dimly formed, yet undeniably malevolent. Its presence wrapped around them like a heavy fog, suffocating. Stay away from her, Ryan yelled, kicking at the ground, fear fueling his courage. But Jess laughed, the sound twisted, as if it belonged to something else entirely. He just wants to play? Mia spat, frustration clawing at her throat. What kind of game is this? You're not yourself. The figure behind Jess flickered, its features shifting and distorting. Cobwebs of darkness twisted and curled around her, tightening their grip. With each passing second, Jess seemed to slip further away from them, swallowed by the very darkness they had dared to disturb. Ryan's heart raced as he took a step closer to her, bracing himself to pull her back. The air crackled with static, the whispers merging into an anguished wail. From the depths of the shadows, the unsettling truth seemed to surface. It was never just about a box, or a curse. It was about unleashing secrets long buried, that now threatened to pull them all into a spiral from which none may return. "Help me!" Jess cried, her voice breaking through the haze, but it was half-hearted, as if fighting against an invisible tide. "Jess, hold on. We're coming," Ryan shouted, determination lighting a fire in his chest as he lunged forward into the clutches of darkness. But something flickered in the shadows, a glint of something ghastly. It flooded the basement's doors in a blinding pulse, revealing the true horror yet to unveil. What would happen next? Would anyone dare to venture closer into the maw of the house, or would they run in terror, chained to the shadows of their worst fears? And was Jess lost forever? The answers awaited them in that cursed space. The darkness swallowed everything, the air thick with dread. Ryan's heart thundered in his chest, each beat echoing the rising terror. He could barely think, yet he felt an overwhelming urge to act. As it coiled around Jess, tendrils of shadow seeped from the house like smoke, wrapping around her ankles in a relentless grip. "Jess!" he shouted again, tears stinging his eyes. "Please!" Mia stayed close to him, her breath warm against his ear, a stark contrast to the chilling wind that whipped through the yard. "We can't lose her," she whispered, urgency etched into her features. Suddenly the laughter came again, an unsettling sound that sent shivers racing down their spines. "You don't know what you're missing," Jess said, her voice encoded with the shadows creeping into her skin. It was as if the figure behind her whispered its ghastly secrets into her ears while she stood there, frozen and entranced. The flickering shadow shifted, grotesque and ever-evolving like a nightmare come to life. "Get away from her!" Ryan cried, clenching his fists, desperate to keep his fear at bay. He took a step forward, lured by the twisted smile that had taken root on Jess's lips. "Please, Jess, fight it." Mia's voice cracked. "Remember who you are." "Who am I?" Jess mused, her eyes swirling with confusion and darkness. "He says I can be free if I let go." "No!" Ryan screamed, lunging at Jess, reaching for her hand as if he could physically pull her away from the brink. But just as his fingers grazed hers, the figure surged forward, a shadowy arm extending to block him, cold and suffocating like an icy grip. "What the hell is this?" Ryan screamed, stumbling back as the shadow brushed against him. It felt like ice water poured straight into his veins, freezing his heart momentarily. Mia stepped up beside him, her face set, jaw clenched. "We need to figure out how to break this. There has to be something, we have to focus." Suddenly, an idea flickered in Ryan's mind, a flash of memory ignited by desperation. "The box! It's all connected to the box!" he shouted, recalling the talisman they had unwittingly disturbed. "Maybe we can reverse whatever it did to her." "Are you serious?" Mia blurted. "You really think opening it again is the answer?" "It's the only chance we have," Ryan insisted. "If we don't try, we might lose her for good." "Then let us do it," Mia declared, her voice steady despite the fear gnawing at her heart. Ryan's breath quickened. "Okay, you look for the box, I'll keep an eye on Jess. Please, Mia, be quick." With one last glance at Jess, he dashed toward the house, feeling nearly every hair on his arm stand on end. The whispers grew louder, wrapping around him like a cacophony of taunts. He fumbled with the porch door that creaked ominously, an echo of the chaos below. As he pushed inside, darkness enveloped him, each step wavering in uncertainty. "Ryan!" Mia's voice called from behind him, a reminder of their fragile bond. "I found it. Just be careful." As he pulled the box from the depths of the floor, a surge of cold energy crashed over him, sending him staggering back. Eyes wide, he glanced back to see Jess still caught in the shadows, her silvery laughter ringing out a sound that chilled him to the bone. "Jess!" he shouted, holding the box tightly. "I'm coming back." But the figure was growing, a massive presence looming closer, tendrils snaking out toward Ryan and engulfing him in darkness. He gasped, fighting against an unseen force, pulling at him like gravity. "Let go!" Jess yelled suddenly, her voice tearing through the fog. "You don't understand. They all say it's too late." He felt fear knot in his chest. "Jess, no." But an answer lingered in the air, waiting for the final revelation to unfold what lay hidden beneath the secrets of that box. And what choice would Jess ultimately make in the battle that was to come? Ryan's heart raced as fear clawed at his throat. It was as though the very shadows were aware of his presence, closing in on him with sinister intent. He gripped the box tight, not fully understanding its significance, but knowing it was their last hope. The walls of the house seemed to close in, suffocating, and the air felt thick enough to choke on. "Come on, think," he muttered to himself. The screams and laughter echoed in his ears, an unsettling symphony of despair. Mia's voice was still a faint thread of connection, urging him on, but he felt so alone, so overwhelmed that he turned sharply, intending to rush back to Jess. But a cold wind swept through the room, slamming the door shut with a deafening bang. The sound ricocheted in his mind, drowning out everything else. The shadows deepened, flickering in a dance that whispered power and malevolence. "Ryan!" Mia's panicked voice cut through the chaos, and he spun around to see her struggling at the door. "I can't get it open." "What?" "No." Panic surged through him like a jolt of electricity. He rushed toward her, desperation fueling his every move. If he didn't reach Jess quickly, it might be too late. His thoughts raced like wildfire. He could feel whatever presence had taken hold of her growing stronger, more formidable. They were running out of time. "Stay strong, Jess," he called out, hoping his voice could pierce the veil that trapped her. "We're coming." But the figure was shifting, morphing into something more tangible, more threatening. It was no longer just shadows. It was a creature wrapped in malice, its form pulsating with dark energy. It loomed closer to Jess, who stood dazed, eyes clouded over with despair. Ryan felt a surge of righteous fury. "Get away from her!" he roared, stepping forward, the box held like a shield before him. The entity seemed to recoil, sensing the power within the box, but Jess remained trapped in its grip. Then Mia broke through, shoving against the door as if to will it open. "I got it!" she shouted, the door swinging wide. A blast of frigid air rushed in, swirling their hair about as she clutched the side of the door frame. Before Ryan could think, he dashed towards Jess, box clutched to his chest. The air crackled, and with every hurried step, a feeling of urgency gnawed at him. "Hold on, Jess," he yelled, reaching out for her. But as he neared, the dark figure lunged, tendrils writhing and shooting toward him. He ducked just in time, feeling the brush of cold mist against his back as he spun to one side. "No, not like this," he shouted in defiance. "Use the box." Mia screamed from the doorway, determination ignited in her eyes. She was calling him back to reality. The box radiated energy like a live wire, pulsing in his grip. He hesitated, wondering if he could risk it. Could he reverse the hold without knowing the true power contained within? The choice snaked into his mind, tying him into knots. "Jess," he shouted again, the plea raw and desperate. "You have to fight it. Remember us." A flicker of emotion crossed her features, confusion and fear battling for dominance. As the shadow's grip slackened, Ryan seized the moment. With trembling hands, he opened the box, determination surging within him. A blinding light spilled forth, illuminating the gloom, casting the shadows back. The grasp of darkness recoiled, and Jess blinked, as if awakening from a deep sleep. "Ryan, what have you?" she gasped, the shadows shrieking in discord around her. "Just trust me," he shouted above the chaos, his eyes locked onto hers. "Fight. Remember." But just then, a howl like 1,000 tormented souls erupted. The figure surged forward again, more ferocious than before, and the light from the box began to flicker. "Jess," Ryan cried as the shadows lunged for them once more, and the pressure of the impending darkness dropped like a weight on his shoulders. Could love save them in this moment? Or had they all already lost more than they could bear? As the shadows closed in, a piercing scream echoed among them, leaving Ryan gripped in terror as he wondered what terrible choice Jess would ultimately make. The blinding light from the box flared even brighter, illuminating the room like a runaway star. Ryan felt heat wash over him, as if it were igniting hope. But that moment was quickly snatched away as the shadows thrashed against the light, hissing like wild snakes. They were retreating but not defeated. Ryan blinked. "Jess, focus on my voice." He took a step forward, but the dark apparition loomed like an unyielding wall. Jess's face twisted in agony. Tears shimmered in her eyes as if she were battling an unseen war within. I can't," she stammered, the shaky breath escaping her lips like a ghostly whisper. "It wants me no," Ryan shouted, feeling the desperation boil in his chest. It can't have you. You're stronger than this. The shadows pulsed angrily, a deep rumble vibrating through the air. It was as if the house itself was warning them, telling them to run. But Ryan couldn't move. He had to stand his ground. Use the memories, Jess. Remember us, the laughter, the time we suddenly, a dark tendril shot out, wrapping around Jess's arm, tightening like a vice. She gasped, her eyes wide with terror as the shadows spoke to her in sinister murmurs, confounding her senses. No, no, and no. Ryan cried, anguish flooding him. From the corner of his eye, he saw Mia standing firm, her hands outstretched, entwined with his spirit as if they were holding back an ocean of darkness. We fight together, she yelled, determination shining in her eyes. Ryan nodded, feeling their unity surge between them. He was no longer alone against this malevolence. Without thinking, he spread the box wider, exposing its luminescence like a beacon. Stay with me, Jess. Remember your strength. The light grew even more intense, a swirling galaxy that encased Jess like an ethereal shield. For a split second, he thought he saw clarity flicker in her eyes. I remember. She gasped, the shadows hesitating, writhing but unsure. But the creature roared, a sound that echoed like thunder, shaking the very foundations of the house. It lunged at Ryan, twisting tendrils reaching out to snatch him back into despair. Ryan's heart raced. He knew the risk. The box was their only hope, but could its light hold back the darkness? Jess, he shouted, locking eyes with her one last time. We're not losing our family. And in that heartbeat, he thrust the box forward, directing its blinding radiance toward Jess. The shadows shrieked, a cacophony of rage that sent a chill through Ryan's bones. Fight back. Focus. He felt power surge from the box, wrapping around Jess like a cocoon. The shadows retaliated, thrashing wildly against the brilliant light that refused to fade. Jess gasped and closed her eyes, her body trembling beneath the weight of the entity's grasp. Jess's voice broke through the mayhem, rising above the chaos, filled with courage yet strained by the weight of despair. I don't know if I can. You can. He screamed back, feeling as if the world around them was fracturing. You have to. With a sudden burst of energy, Jess reached out toward the light. I am not afraid, she shouted, voice filled with fierce determination. And just like that, a blinding shockwave erupted. The dark figure screeched in fury as the light engulfed it, pushing back against the tide of malice, fracturing the shadows into fleeting wisps. But just as victory seemed within grasp, the light staggered, flickering. A pulse of fear gripped Ryan's heart. No, no, and then, in an instant of vulnerability, the shadows surged back, coiling like a dark serpent, lunging with renewed force toward Jess. Ryan's throat tightened with dread as he saw it wasn't just an attack on Jess, but on everything they cherished. Do something, Mia shouted, her voice breaking through the haze of uncertainty. Hold on, Ryan cried, feeling the room collapse around them, the weight of doom bearing down. But as Jess faced the darkness again, holding back something far worse, Ryan wondered. Could their bond be strong enough to sever the darkness? As shadows twisted in a desperate frenzy, could they truly escape the grasp of despair? Or would sacrifice be the only path left to break free? Jess stood at the edge of her darkest nightmare, the weight of shadows wrapping tight around her like a noose. She squeezed her eyes shut, trying to shut out the echoes of sinister whispers clawing at her mind. I can't let it take me, she gasped, each word like glass breaking inside her throat. Ryan felt the pulse of fear radiating off her. He could almost hear the chaos of shadows scraping against the walls, threatening to engulf them in darkness. Just hold on, he called, desperation fueling every syllable. With each passing moment, the light from the box flickered, desperate for strength. Ryan's heart thundered in his chest, a drum warning him of the impending doom. The silhouettes twisted, slashing at the radiance like a swarm of angry wasps, and the whispers grew louder, promising despair in hushed tones. Join us, just let go. No, Jess shouted, her voice cracking yet fierce. The light momentarily brightened, a flicker of defiance. You do not own me. She reached out, hands trembling, feeling the warmth of the box brush against her fingertips. Ryan locked his gaze on her, feeling the moment stretch painfully as the shadows recoiled a fraction at her shout. They were losing their grip. That's it, Jess. Fight. He stepped closer, shielding her with the last remaining remnants of their light, willing it to pulse through him and into her. But just then, an enormous black form surged forward from the darkness, breaking through the feeble light with terrifying speed. Ryan felt his breath catch in his throat as it lunged, an embodiment of all their fears coiling ferociously. "No!" he shouted, adrenaline pumping through his veins. He turned to Mia, whose face was a mixture of resolve and fear. "We have to push it back." As if in unison, they raised their hands toward Jess, like a trio of warriors resisting an overwhelming onslaught. The light intensified, bursting forth like a supernova, filling the room with radiant warmth. For a brief second they felt untouchable, invincible. But serenity was short-lived. The dark entity shrieked, echoing through the very bones of the house, ramming against their barricade with merciless force. The light dimmed, flickering in and out like a dying star. Ryan could taste the bitter taste of panic on his lips. Jess stumbled, her strength waning as her arm thrashed in the grip of shadows, pulling her deeper into their realm. "Not now, Jess. Focus," Ryan urged, a lump in his throat. "Hold on to the memories. The laughter. Love." "I can't remember," Jess gasped, a defeated sound that twisted his gut. The tendril around her tightened, squeezing the hope from her eyes. Suddenly, from within her struggle, Ryan noticed a glimmer, that spark of resilience. "Jess, think about our family. Our summers at the lake. Remember when we built that crazy sandcastle? You said it was the best. Hold on to that." He watched, holding his breath, praying that their shared memories would resurface in her mind. In a heartbeat, Jess's expression shifted. Clarity began to break through the fog. "The castle. The waves. We were happy," she murmured, determination spilling into her eyes. The shadows paused, as if considering her newfound resolve. Ryan felt a warmth ignite within him. Together they could conquer this. "Let us finish this, Jess. Together." Scream after muffled scream echoed around them, a swirling storm of madness, but then clarity began to seep into the shadows. Jess's voice rang out, strong and unwavering. "I refuse to be afraid." Ryan felt the power surge between them. The shadows recoiled, threatening but retreating. But just when he thought they could prevail, a powerful surge of darkness lashed out, striking the box with horrifying force. It cracked like a mirror, shattering into chaos. The glow dimmed drastically, as if they were running out of time. Mia stumbled, eyes wide with horror as the tendrils reared back, angry and relentless. "Ryan, we can't hold much longer. Then we'll fight with everything we have." He yelled back, but deep in his gut, despair clawed at him. As Jess was pulled further into the abyss, time slowed. Ryan, heart racing, asked, "What will become of us? Can love truly conquer this darkness? Or will it consume us all?" He reached out, barely grasping onto her hand, feeling the world collapsing around them. With shadows swirling and light fading, he knew the battle was far from over. Would they break free or fall into eternal despair? The crack in the box widened like a gaping wound, swallowing what little light remained. Ryan's heart pounded wildly, the rhythm of his fear echoing through the silence as shadows danced menacingly around them. He couldn't lose her, not now, not ever. "Jess!" he shouted, but his voice felt swallowed up by the growing darkness. Panic clawed at him as Jess's face reflected sheer terror, the tendrils of shadow curling around her legs, yanking her closer to the edge of the abyss. "Don't let go," Mia shouted, voice trembling like a leaf in a storm. She struggled alongside Ryan, their energies intertwining, drawing power from each other. But the oppressive darkness roared back, fierce and unyielding. It was like battling a tidal wave. Barely breathing, Ryan looked into Jess's frightened eyes and saw the flicker of rebellion beginning to spark. "Remember who you are," he breathed, voice breaking under the weight of desperation. "You are loved. You are stronger than this." With a sudden burst, Jess's body tightened as she drew her strength from those memories. They seemed to surge like an electric current through her veins. "Mom and Dad, the beach, the sunlight," she whispered, her voice steadying. "Ryan, I remember." The shadows screeched as if offended, sending vibrations of fury through the air. They writhed and contorted, their fingers grasping as they tried to reclaim Jess. The darkness pulsed, a heartbeat of pure malice determining to dominate. "Jess, focus. Reach for the light," Ryan urged, never breaking eye contact. The connection between them deepened, forged through every laugh, every tear they had shared. But just as hope began to sprout in the desolate night, a piercing wail erupted from the depths of the darkness. Mia staggered back, fear washing over her. It's too strong," she screamed, the shadows swirling like a cyclone, fangs bared, eager to devour all they touched. Ryan didn't he think? He lunged toward Jess, anchoring himself to her with every ounce of will. With a primal yell, he grabbed Jess's hand with both of his, holding on like a lifeline, like a lighthouse fighting against the storm. The shadows struck again and again, relentless. He felt bone-deep exhaustion creeping in, threatening to sweep him under. Tears streamed down Jess's face, mingling with the determination glowing in her eyes. "We can't give up, Ryan. We have to believe." The ground beneath them trembled as the shadows twisted, shifting and reshaping into horrendous forms that taunted them. A face materialized, distorted and repulsive, whispering promises of hopelessness and despair. "You'll never escape this," it hissed, a cacophony of voices blending into a malicious symphony that seeped into Ryan's thoughts, sowing seeds of doubt. "No," Jess roared, her scream resonating with strength. She drew in a breath and images of sun-soaked summers flooded her mind, days filled with laughter, friends and family. "We're not afraid of you," the shadows wailed in agony, recoiling from her fierce declaration. It was a moment of breathtaking clarity, and Ryan felt the light between them pulse growing, stretching, breaking free. Together they drove their will against the darkness, channeling every ounce of energy into a tidal wave of light. But before they could fully break through, another surge of darkness struck. It slammed into them like a freight train, pulling them apart. Ryan felt his heart drop as he lost his grip on Jess. Her figure began to wane like a flickering candle in a raging storm. "Jess!" he yelled, reaching out, his voice laced with desperation. The nightmares clawed back, shrouding her in shadow. Mia's panicked voice cut through the chaos. "We can't lose her, Ryan. Fight! We have to bring her back." A pit of fear opened in his gut as shadows dragged Jess deeper, threatening to claim her forever. In that terrifying moment, as despair clawed at his heart, Ryan realized the greatest battle wasn't he against the darkness outside, but the darkness within themselves. Could they find the strength to conquer their fears? With every ounce of courage he could muster, he clenched his fists, summoning the resilience he had thought lost. "We are love. We are light," he shouted, determination igniting his soul. But as the shadows lunged once more, he wondered if it would be enough, if they would ever rise again, or if darkness would claim them all forever. The shadows curled tighter around Jess, dragging her into the void. Ryan could see her desperation written all over her face, raw and real. His heart raced as a storm of emotions crashed within him, spiraling into a whirlpool of panic. "Fight it, Jess!" he screamed. "Remember us. Remember our promises." But as darkness encroached, the malevolent whispers clawed at Ryan's thoughts. They echoed the doubts brewing inside him. What if it was too late? What if he couldn't pull her back? Mia gasped beside him, her hands clenched like iron as she braced against the violent shift of the shadows. "We can't let it win," she shouted, but the shadows hissed, a suffocating tide smothering their hopes. Ryan took a harrowing step forward. He had to believe. "Think of the moments, Jess. Think of our laughter, the way we feel the sun on our faces," he pleaded. His own voice felt shaky, but Jess needed to hear strength, not fear. "Ryan!" she cried, her voice cracking, wavering under the weight of the darkness. Her features fell, hope slipping away like grains of sand. Just beyond the edge he could see it, the final threads of her essence fraying. A surge of adrenaline coursed through Ryan, igniting every fiber in his being. He couldn't let darkness win. Not when every moment spent together flashed through his memory. "I love you, Jess. You are everything to me. You can't disappear. You won't." There was a flicker in Jess's eyes, a hint of recognition flashing back and forth like a dying spark. Ryan felt it within him, a palpable connection, like an anchor in a storm. He lunged forward, a desperate reach through the swirling wave of shadow. "Hold on. I'm coming." Just as his fingertips grazed Jess's, the shadows screamed, a terrible chorus that shook the ground and rattled his bones. The sound was a chilling reminder of the world. They were grappling against a world that thrived on despair. For a moment he was lost in it, drowning in fear. The shadows pulled harder, a malicious tugging that felt like 1,000 icy fingers clawing at his skin. The air grew thick, suffocating. He could feel Jess slipping through his grasp. No! He roared, anger fueling him. He thought of her laughter, their secrets shared in the twilight, and the warmth of her hand in his. With that memory, something snapped inside, crackling like a power surge. Gathering every ounce of energy left, Ryan took a deep breath. You don't own her. He shouted into the void, the sound echoing back like a challenge. Just fight. You are a beacon of light. You are pure. The shadows recoiled, visibly shaken as Jess's face lit up anew, determination blazing in her eyes. She pushed against the darkness with everything she had. The tendrils stuttered, retreating, and for a fraction of a second, Ryan felt hope blossom. Ryan! Jess called out, her voice resonating with newfound strength. I can see the light. But just then the shadows rallied. They coiled, swirling like a tempest ready to strike. You can't escape your fate. They screeched in unison, spinning faster, trying to fold their desperate cries into Ryan's mind. Don't listen. Focus. Mia yelled, her eyes wide, glittering with adrenaline. The crack in the box widened more. An insatiable void reaching out for them. Ryan sensed the urgency, felt the time slipping, the final moment to reclaim Jess. Together. He shouted as he extended his hand once more, reaching for Jess with everything he could muster. But just then, something shifted in the distance. From the depths of the shadows emerged a figure dark and twisted, its outline smudged with a dread that permeated the atmosphere. Ryan's breath caught in his throat. Who or what was it? The apparition lingered, a malicious smile curling across its face as it drew closer. Ryan's heart thumped in a harrowing rhythm, terror flooding his veins. What have you done, Jess? It whispered, its voice oozing malice, like honey turned to venom. And just like that, a new fear gripped Ryan. Darkness had a face, and it was right there, menacing. What did it know? What could it still take from them? As Ryan felt the ground tremble beneath him, uncertainty bubbled like a boiling pot. Was this the last stand against the dark? Or an awakening of something even more terrifying? Just then everything fell silent, and Ryan realized they weren't simply fighting for Jess anymore. They were in a battle for their souls. The air crackled with tension, the quiet heavy with uncertainty. Everything hung in the balance. Ryan felt fear knotting tighter inside him. The malevolent figure loomed large, swirling shadow and dark light spiraling around it. What have you unleashed? It hissed, voice smooth yet jagged like glass shards on velvet. With every ounce of resolve he could muster, Ryan shouted, We are here for Jess. We won't let you take her. But as words left his lips, the darkness surged forward, eager to extinguish the light. Jess gasped, her form flickering amidst the storm of shadows. No! Get back! Mia shouted, her voice fierce, pulling Ryan's attention back to her. He could see her determination behind the terror, and it ignited a fire in him as well. Hold on, Jess. Remember who you are. Ryan bellowed again, his soul swelling with urgency. This isn't just about the ghosts. This is our life, our future. Fight! The ground felt unstable beneath his footing, a chaotic rhythm matching the turmoil brewing around them. Jess's eyes shimmered through the haze of darkness, reflecting courage as she clutched her memories tightly. I remember, she shouted back, her voice rising above the clamors of despair. The shadows shrieked, recoiling slightly, as if Jess's fierce spirit was a remedy against their wicked grip. Ryan leaned farther into it, grounding himself in her spark of resolve. Then let us end this, he cried, locking eyes with her. The dark figure shifted, its smile curling menacingly. You think your love can protect you from the void? Nothing escapes, but Ryan's mind raced back to every cherished moment shared, their laughter breaking through hard days, summer nights filled with sparkles under vast skies, and the warmth of hands intertwined. No, love is the light you fear, he shouted, desperately channeling those memories into one unified force. With one more fierce cry, he thrust the box forward, its light blazing brightly, pushing against the waves of darkness. The energy intertwined with his plea, creating a radiant barrier that pushed back against the chaos. This is the sanctuary of our love. Stand firm. In a breathtaking moment, Jess stepped forward, sensing the surge of power between them. I can feel it, she shouted, battling against the shadows tightening their claws. You can't hold me. I am not afraid. I choose love. Her voice resonated with defiance, a song of hope breaking through the night. The entity's sinister expression faltered for a moment, surprised, as Ryan felt the shadows tremble. "Release us!" he bellowed, his heart racing as they surged forward together, arms entwined, glowing against the dark. Suddenly the figure recoiled, thrashing as if caught in a thunderstorm, shouting in rage. "You believe in a memory!" it screamed. "All memories are just echoes, a cage." But Ryan and Jess stood firm, each pulse of the box filling them with radiant energy. Around them the shadows writhed, tendrils clawing furiously, but the bond they shared flickered, glowing brighter and brighter. Jess's laughter played in his mind, the happiest melody cutting through his fears. "Remember the warmth," Ryan shouted, emotions colliding in a fervent explosion, and then in a brilliant flash, they erupted forward, arms raised high as love seared through the air like a comet. The shadows screamed, tearing at the light as it engulfed them, illuminating every corner of the darkened world. Suddenly everything was bathed in blinding sunlight, a moment that felt equal parts terrifying and overwhelmingly freeing. As the echoes of darkness faded, Ryan blinked against the bright light, summoning all his strength, listening for Jess. Silence fell, a heavy stillness replacing chaos. He turned, breath shallow, scanning the air. Jess, and then a shimmer, a soft, warm figure silhouetted against the light. Relief poured over Ryan like a cleansing wave as she stepped out, her expression one of triumph and love. "I'm here," she cried, running into his embrace, and their energy crackled, merging in an electric warmth. I thought I lost you," he gasped, relief and joy flooding his senses, now mingled with the fading remnants of shadows as they evaporated into the breeze. Mia rushed toward them, her eyes alight with disbelief. "You did it! You really did it!" They huddled together, hearts pounding in unison, feeling the weight of the darkness slowly lifting as the sunset and twilight embraced the sky. They stood hand in hand, hearts chanting their shared memories beneath the blanket of stars. The night felt alive, filled with hope rather than trepidation. "We faced the darkness and survived," Ryan whispered softly, looking at Jess and Mia, connected by their shared vow against the night. A smile broke across Jess's face, vibrant and alive. "Together always. But we have to make sure this never happens again," Mia said, her brow furrowing. "We need to share our story. Other people might be battling their own shadows." Ryan felt his heart swell. He knew they had to spread the light they had found together. "Then let us do it," he said, a fiery determination pushing through him. "Let us be the voices that scream against the darkness." As they turned, a soft breeze wrapped around them. Crescent Valley felt different, more alive, more vibrant. They had fought and won against the shadows, and now they had a purpose. Sharing their story, spreading love and light far and wide, protecting others from the very darkness they had encountered. Together, they walked back toward home, hearts wide and ready to embrace whatever life would throw at them next. The night was not just a memory of despair. It had transformed into a trail of stars, guiding them forward. And with that, they left the haunted past behind, stepping into a brighter tomorrow together. But before you go, listen up. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss out on the next exclusive stories we have coming for you. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm your support matters. And flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this conclusion. What a journey we've been on. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful ending. Your love keeps us going.